There is a white powder sitting on the shelf of every farm supply store in America right now. It costs $8 for a 2-pound bag. It kills every ant, cockroach, silverfish, bedbug, and crawling insect that crosses it. Not with poison, not with neurotoxins, not with synthetic chemistry that lingers in the air your children breathe. It kills them with physics, pure, mechanical, unstoppable physics. Japanese farmers used it for over 400 years to protect rice harvests worth more than gold. The Roman Empire scattered it in grain stores that fed entire legions across 3 continents. The EPA registered it as a confirmed pesticide in 1960 and then watched a $22 billion industry grow up around synthetic alternatives that cost 60 times more. That powder is called Diatomaceous earth, and the pest control industry has spent half a century making certain you would never learn its real name. Welcome to Lost Skills. This is where we open the vaults they sealed shut. Subscribe now and hit the bell. Every vault we open here is one less secret they get to keep. Before we go any further, think about what is actually happening in your home right now. The average American household spends $338 per year on professional pest control services, according to the National Pest Management Association's own published data. Add the spray cans and bait traps under your cabinet, and the real number climbs past $500 every single year. Because the pest control industry does not sell you a solution. It sells you a subscription disguised as a service call. The technician comes every quarter. He sprays a synthetic compound along your baseboards. The compound breaks down in ultraviolet light within 60 to 90 days. The insects return. You call back. That is not pest control. That is a payment plan running since 1948. Diatomaceous earth is not a chemical compound. It is not manufactured in a laboratory. It is a sedimentary rock made entirely from the fossilized skeletal remains of single-celled aquatic organisms called diatoms. These microscopic creatures lived in ancient oceans for hundreds of millions of years. When they died, their silica shells accumulated in layers hundreds of feet deep. What remained was a chalk-white powder made entirely of microscopic glass shells, each one a razor-sharp crystalline silica structure. To the human eye, it feels like fine talcum powder, completely safe to hold in your bare hands. To an insect, crossing through it is equivalent to crawling through a field of broken glass shards under a desert sun with no way to escape. And here is the science the pest control industry does not want you to understand. The exoskeleton of every crawling insect on Earth is coated in a thin, waxy lipid layer. That layer prevents water loss through the cuticle. It is the insect's waterproofing system. Without it, the insect dehydrates and dies. When an insect walks through diatomaceous earth, the sharp crystalline edges physically abrade and puncture that waxy coating on contact. The damage is not chemical, it is purely structural. Moisture begins escaping through every abraded point. The insect cannot stop this process, cannot repair it, and absolutely cannot build resistance to it, because resistance to physics is not biologically possible. No genetic mutation allows an ant to become immune to dehydration. This is why no insect population on Earth has ever developed resistance to diatomaceous earth in 30 million years. The synthetic pyrethroids in your pest control spray are a completely different story. Insects develop measurable resistance to synthetic chemistry within 3 to 7 generations. The pest control industry knows this. Their own research confirms it. And yet the spray remains the only solution ever mentioned on the service call invoice. If you have made it this far, you already understand more about insect biology than the technician who last walked through your home. Subscribe and share this with every parent who has ever worried about what was being sprayed near where their children sleep. Everything the pest control industry buried is inside the complete Lost Skills vault. The link is in the description. But stay with me. The history behind this powder runs deeper than almost anything we have opened before. The story begins in Japan, sometime around the 16th century, in the storage houses of rice merchants who learned something through generations of careful observation. Japanese farmers discovered that mixing certain white powdery mineral deposits into stored grain prevented the insect infestations that routinely destroyed entire harvests. They did not know the powder was composed of fossilized diatom shells. They knew only the result. Grain stored with the white powder survived. Grain stored without it did not. The practice continued unchanged for 4 centuries. The Romans used the same deposits to protect grain stores, feeding legions across 3 continents. 2 civilizations on opposite sides of a world with no contact between them. Arriving at the same discovery. That is not coincidence. That is fundamental physics patiently waiting to be understood. Commercial diatomite mining began in the United States in the late 1800s. The pest control application was documented and known but never commercially prioritized, because diatomaceous earth could not be patented and could not be sold back to the same customer every 60 days. Then 1948 arrived. DDT had been released for civilian use. The synthetic pesticide industry was building the most profitable segment of the global chemical sector. The messaging campaign that would run for the next 70 years began. Trust the chemistry. Trust the licensed professional. Your grandmother's powder is primitive. The industry made certain that hardware store shelf space was filled with branded spray cans, not bags of white mineral powder that worked indefinitely without any reapplication schedule. Now here is what the numbers look like when you strip away 70 years of marketing. The global pest control market is currently valued at $22.5 billion annually, according to Grand View research data published in 2024. A standard professional contract runs between $300 and $600 per year, each treatment engineered to expire within 60 to 90 days, so you need the next appointment. A 10-pound bag of food-grade diatomaceous earth costs between $15 and $25 and protects an average home for 6 to 12 months. Cost per year with diatomaceous earth, $25 to $50. Cost per year with professional pest control, $300 to $600 minimum, a 1-200% price difference. You cannot patent fossilized ocean sediment. You cannot attach a quarterly service model to a powder a homeowner applies twice a year for $20. So the industry minimized it, called it primitive, and made certain every technician's pitch pointed away from the white powder and toward the branded spray can. And for 70 years, it worked. I need to be honest with you here. Diatomaceous earth has real limitations. It does not work when wet. Humidity above 60% reduces its effectiveness. It is not effective against flying insects. It works slowly, taking 24 to 72 hours rather than minutes. And you must use food-grade diatomaceous earth specifically, not pool-grade, which is processed at high heat and is not safe for indoor use. But here is what it does better than any chemical alternative. It kills through a mechanism insects cannot evolve resistance to. It leaves zero toxic residue on surfaces your children crawl across or your pets sleep on. The EPA classifies food-grade diatomaceous earth as generally recognized as safe, the highest safety designation in their regulatory framework. Here is exactly what to do starting today. Go to any farm supply store and buy 1 bag of food-grade diatomaceous earth. Confirm on the label that it is food-grade. 10 pounds covers the perimeter of most homes. Total cost, $15 to $25. Apply it dry using a small duster or clean squeeze bottle. Lay a thin, continuous line along the interior base of every exterior wall. Focus on entry points. The gap beneath exterior doors, where the wall meets the floor, inside kitchen and bathroom cabinet bases, behind the refrigerator, and beneath the stove. A thin, visible dusting is enough. The insects need only to walk through it. Reapply after any significant moisture exposure. Outdoors, create a continuous line around the entire foundation perimeter and reapply after rain. A homeowner in Georgia with a documented German cockroach infestation applied food-grade diatomaceous earth to all interior baseboard perimeters after 2 failed professional treatments. Within 10 days, the infestation was functionally eliminated. His annual pest control contract had been running at $480 per year for 3 consecutive years. His one-time material cost was $18. He has not renewed the contract. The diatoms that make up this powder lived in ancient oceans before the first insect ever evolved. Japanese farmers trusted this knowledge for 4 centuries. The Roman Empire relied on it to protect their legions. The EPA confirmed the mechanism in 1960. None of that changed when the pest control industry built itself into a $22 billion revenue machine. The physics did not change. The insects did not develop immunity. The only thing that changed was who controlled the information and who profited from keeping you on a quarterly schedule that expires by design. The powder is still on the shelf. It costs $20. It works by the same mechanism it has always worked by. Your great-grandmother likely knew its name. The industry spent 70 years making certain you forgot it. But today, right here, you just remembered. Subscribe and share this with every family you know that is still paying the quarterly bill. Every share is one more person the industry loses. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside is even heavier.